Okay, I am gonna get started. Let me aim my camera. I think this looks pretty good. Welcome everybody to my room. I am here in Charlottesville, Virginia. You can hear the locusts outside, giving a nice soundtrack. Make sure I got all my tech here running. Excellent. Thank you all for joining me for this week's edition of Friday Night Draw. I want to welcome all you beautiful VAEA art teachers. Ooh, I just heard myself talking back to myself, so I should probably mute myself from the live stream. I hope you'll please forgive me in advance for any technical issues that I may experience. Because as we all know, doing this sort of teaching, sometimes we are doing new things and we have to be flexible and forgive each other when there's issues. So if there is any issue that comes up that I'm not aware of, please chime in on the Facebook chat window. I'm also live streaming on YouTube. So hello to you people on there. So my name is Laura Lee Gulledge and I go by Laura Lee. I am a author, artist, educator. I'm a bunch of things. And I am here to lead a workshop with you guys for the next 55 minutes of your precious, precious time. And I want to say an extra special welcome to my high school art teacher who is watching, Ms. Vicki Burns, blast from the past. So yeah, it's a delight to be here to share a lesson with you guys that I developed in my book, Sketchbook Dares, how 24 ways to draw out your inner artist. So just a quick little background about me. I started off as a public school art teacher, and I ended up leaving education to pursue my, I don't know, at that time I was just drawing in a sketchbook and I couldn't explain to anybody why I would leave a perfectly good job and a career and the savings and all the retirement and benefits and all that. I was like, I don't know why I got to work in this sketchbook. And thankfully, the sketchbooks led me on a journey where I ended up moving to New York and discovering graphic novels. And I somehow was lucky enough to actually write and pitch a graphic novel to Abrams Books. And it somehow worked because it's amazing the things you can get done when you don't realize that the rules that you don't even know exist. So I have Page by Page, which is about a girl in her sketchbook, a redhead from Virginia, because I'm not good at making things up. And then the second one, I'll flip through real quick. Oh, what's the book? And the second one is set in Charlottesville, where I am right now. It's more of an ensemble story about a girl facing her fears. And this one is actually a musical that I'm adapting right now into a virtual show, which we're going to do a read through in 2 weeks, which is very exciting. Then Sketchbook Dares, which is the third book, baby. And this is my interactive sketchbook. This is my copy, so it's actually very full of stuff. But it has my my favorite drawing prompts and there's a blank page and blank pages for you to draw in. Because with my work, with my stories, with my teaching, sketchbooks have always been an integral part of how I know that you can develop your language as an artist, you can develop your regular practice, and you can have an outlet for just your mental health. So I'm a huge sketchbook proponent. And last book that just came out in April, right during the beginning of the pandemic, is my, I don't know, she's like my little masterpiece, The Dark Matter of Mona Starr. She is my story about depression. So it is, I don't know, I'm really proud of this work. I use a spot yellow in it, but besides that, it's black and white. But thankfully, it's more about healing and art or love, and, you know, how to find ways to express yourself and to do therapy and meditation, things like that, to help you deal with your matter, which is how I personify depression. So at the end, I'll share info about where if you wanted to get a copy of any of those. But today is actually more about the Sketchbook Dare, baby. So let me adjust my lighting. I have a delay on Facebook, so it's hard for me to tell what I look like. Okay, so as we get started, first thing I would like to do is just to give a little overview of how this is going to work. I'm going to talk a little bit about visual storytelling, inspiration for our project, share some images if I can figure out how to share images on the screen here. Then I'm going to do a demonstration, and you are wholeheartedly invited, I art nor dare you, to draw along with us. So for this activity, you will need to pull something from your closet that has special meaning to you. I'll talk a little bit more about ideas of maybe what you might want to pull out of your closet if you're feeling uninspired, and some art supplies to draw a portrait of an outfit. It could be a whole outfit. It could be a single article of clothing or an accessory. It could just be something even really small. It could be a shoe. And to pull out some supplies that you would like to use for it. So I think markers work really well. You could also use watercolor, something simple, don't bust out the MIG weld or anything right now. We're keeping it fun because it's Friday. And if you have any questions for me, you can type them in the Facebook chat window and I will answer them at the end. And that's it. Okay, so I'm going to dive into it. So when I was in art, back when I was learning about art ed in school, really the focus was more on visual art. It was on pictures, doing the communication for us. And I found that when I was working in my sketchbooks at the very beginning, way back in the day, I usually would incorporate text in there. I would sneak it in on the sides and the margins or here and there, because it was part sketchbook, part journal, part idea book, part receptacle for all the random thoughts in my head. And I didn't really know that was actually visual storytelling until I discovered comics. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm actually telling stories. I never thought of myself as a storyteller because storytellers to me are very linear. Like this happens, and then this happens. But for me, I'm more of a less linear, more just sort of all over the place. And I have all these ideas and it's all out of order. And I don't know where to start. And I don't know how it's connected. So that's why I like using the word storytelling, because you might not think about storytelling. You might think of that as more like in the English classroom versus art classroom. But to me, the combination of words and pictures has a lot of power. And actually, when I talk about making comics with students, we're sort of talking about how you swing between both of them, like Tarzan on a vine. So for today, we're going to do a really simple exercise of visual storytelling, because I find that most artists are scared of writing and most writers are scared of drawing. So visual storytelling, whether it's comics or what we're doing with more of a standalone illustration with a caption, more like Instagram style storytelling, that's a lot less intimidating. Just a good way to sort of put your toes in the water of maybe how to explore with words, also not just pictures, on how to express yourself. Because sometimes we don't, we got to switch it up and sort of add new seasoning to our vocabulary. And I also think that by drawing a portrait of clothes, it's a really easy way to open up about something that's personal, but it's not too intense because you're not drawing yourself. When you draw yourself, it brings up a lot of insecurity and a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure. But if you're revealing yourself through an artifact, it's a little bit easier to sort of come at it from an angle to I'm going to talk about something that happened or maybe something I'm feeling, but instead of just showing me directly, I'm going to show something that represents it. Because like Brene Brown says, maybe stories are just data with a soul. So we're going to take the data of a moment that you had and give it a little bit of, well, I guess the data is the article of clothing. So this is like the data, but the soul is you putting it in context of what it means to you. So I'm going to share my screen to just share a few different examples of how people besides me have drawn clothing, even though as art teachers, I'm sure you can already make a list of inspiring artists. So let me go over to StreamYard. Share. I think that's sharing there. And now Facebook. Facebook is not letting me click on screen share, which is a bummer. Okay, I don't want to grapple with technology too much. Okay, well, it is not letting me share my screen. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm posting onto a group. I don't want to waste time looking, dealing with that. So I'm going to, I guess I'll just tell you about the people and you can just Google them because, hey, we have the internet at our fingertips. So I will cancel. Okay, so the first artist, such a bummer, finally made a new slideshow. So of course I was going to mention Van Gogh's shoes. I feel like we've all seen the painting of Van Gogh's shoes, and it tells a story and it's expressive. I mean, that's a classic lesson. And then of course Jim Dine is known for doing his sort of self-portraits of the robes, the robes. But the other ones I was going to share, the first one is Myra Coleman. I'm going to just type in Myra Coleman. She's a New York Times illustrator, and she does really delightful drawings of clothes and artifacts and food where she incorporates text more in like a cursive-y style in there. And she uses gouache, which I'm going to be using also. So I highly recommend you check her out because her art is just so much fun. And the other thing I was going to share is the J. Peterman catalog. Because I don't know if any of you guys remember the old school catalogs where they would draw the clothing. Sometimes they'd be like 3-dimensionally rendered and it looked almost like they were being worn by an invisible person. Like blowing in the breeze, and they tell a little story about it. I always think of that scene in Seinfeld with the J. Peterman catalog. And because also drawing clothes, you do sort of feel like you're more in like a designer role, like how you're going to lay them out, how you're going to style them. So it's just fun. And then of course in Sketchbook Dares, I'll just hold up this example. In Sketchbook Dares, where I use marker, for like this page was all things in my closet that were all red, orange, and yellow. It's just sort of like a little snapshot, a little time capsule, if you will. And this one here is a little bit more of what we're going to be doing today. So for this, instead of just doing one article of clothing, I did a little collection because I wanted to capture an entire outfit. So this is what this caption says: "The day I fell in love with you," which is kind of bittersweet because the man this was about, he and I broke up a year ago. So yes, art. Everything is documented. I can see him a little blown out on there. Oh, the delay. And the beautiful thing about a sketchbook is that even filling in the pages of a sketchbook tells a story, because I made this a year ago when we had broken up, and it's me actually naked. So it's rather metaphorical. And I didn't realize the page I had chosen when I chose this page, because our subconscious always knows what we're doing. I don't know if you can see it. I can't see my screen. Okay. But anyway, so for your inspiration, if you don't have something in mind already that you would like to do a portrait of, it could be something, of course, attached to a memory or a person, something with sentimental meaning to you. Or it could be something symbolic, like something that represents a place, represents a part of your personality that it brings out. And it also could be something that is quarantine related, because right now, let's face it, we're all sort of wearing a uniform at home because we don't need to go out and put on nice clothes for various occasions. So it's sweatpants for everybody. So if you want to do more of a quarantine angle, like actually what I'm wearing today is a dress. Ooh, it's like gold. Is a dress I bought for a friend's wedding this spring that was canceled. And I keep seeing it in the closet. I'm like, I want to draw it, but I want to wear it. But it represents like an unfulfilled happening, an unfulfilled dream. And so I think that there's a lot of things that maybe are hanging in our closets that we got for that special occasion or for that trip that we were going to take. And to me, it sort of represents the loss of quarantine. And so if I find that it might be a good opportunity to even deal with some emotions and some mourning if you're having some trouble sort of dealing with the loss of something, but maybe you want to spin it. Maybe you want to paint something in your closet. You're like, you know what? When I can go out and talk to people within 6 feet and wear a nice outfit and not wear a mask, or maybe you're wearing a mask, whatever. But it gives you hope that one day that you will be back out there with people and you will feel, beautiful and special and powerful in that article of clothing. So it could be that, or it could be a portrait of your quarantine uniform. If you really want to do a time capsule of the moment, especially if you wear like the same thing every single day. And of course, if you really want to get micro with it, you could even draw a portrait of your mask as like a symbol of this time. So yeah, there's a lot of different directions you can go into. And just mentioning quickly with inspiration, I think about fashion in the studio a lot too, because if I'm wearing like my schleppy clothes, or like in the studio when I'm supposed to be working on like a book or a script or really any like professional art project, I'm not going to do as good of a job if I'm wearing pajamas and, versus if I'm wearing like some regular clothes and shoes, I swear, make me 60% more productive. I used to wear lipstick in the studio when I was writing to help me feel more like oomph and like amplified, almost like war paint. And sometimes in the studio, I wear my thinking cap. This is my thinking cap. It's literally my hat from like middle school days. And so sometimes if I'm really struggling with like getting myself into the zone for the day, I'll put on my thinking cap and sort of trick myself into amping up that extra energy. Like, yeah, we got it. Because really making art is just sort of tricking yourself into doing things that you didn't think you could do before. So I encourage you to also just think about fashion in your studio practice and how you can use it to your advantage to help you out. Because we got to use everything we can, to help us. Okay. So I'm going to check on here. Nothing questions. Cool. Well, I think we are now to the portion of our program that is demo time. Oh, demo time. I know. Can you tell I did a lot of stuff this spring? I got a lot of signs. So for this, I'm going to reorient my camera. I'm going to have a little sip because doing art live on the internet. Okay. So for my demonstration, I already drew in pencil the portrait of my item. And actually, I chose the page after this one because I was like, you know what? This makes me sad. So I'm going to put something really happy right here to help charge this section. And the item I'm going to be drawing a portrait of is this coat right here behind me. So I'll hold it up. Ooh, it's a coat. The best thing about it is that it is purple on the inside. This coat I've actually had for almost 20 years. I remember I got it when I was a middle school art teacher in Louisa County. And I love it. It's been to so many countries. It's been on so many adventures because come on, green paisley. Oh my God. I just want to eat it. So I love this coat so much that the lining on the inside totally got torn up. It was just cobwebs in here. So I spent way too much money, but it was worth it to reline it. And I picked bright purple fabric because I wanted to walk around and have just like a little secret, little extra spring in my step. So I decided I'm gonna draw a portrait of this coat because this coat and I have had some adventures. And one day we will have more adventures out in the world. Also, I'm longing for fall because summer. Okay, let me put snazzy coat there. And I'm gonna re-angle my camera down here. Let's see, let me try to get this right. This will take me a second. If I could play music, I would have been playing Prince's Raspberry Beret for you when we got started. But alas, there's a lot of rules with that sort of thing and using music and the internet. So if you'd like to just imagine Raspberry Beret. Raspberry beret. Can't you find in a secondhand store? Raspberry beret. Okay, I'm gonna try to angle this. I've never used. Oh, never done this before. Oh goodness. This will take me a second. Just keep thinking about raspberry beret. She wore her raspberry beret. Okay, that's not right either. Trying to find in a secondhand store. Okay, I'll just move this. Getting stuff oriented. Oh, wait, let's move. What's there? Oh no, we're more over here. Oh, wait. Okay, sorry. It's hard for me to tell because there is a delay. So when I move, I can't tell. Oh no! Ah! Technology. Okay, let's bring another lamp in here. Let's see. How's this? That's a little better. Wait, what am I? Okay. I'm a professional artist. Yeah. This is. Why am I getting this? Let's see. Let me look on this screen. Apologies. It's taken me a minute to get myself set up. But like I said, the delay. Wait. Oh, this is. Maybe I'll angle it this way. Okay. I'm just going to try to get this paper. That's all I want. Okay, maybe there. Also, my screen is like flipped. Oh, wait, it's going. Wait, there. It's almost there. Oh my gosh. Oh, life was so much easier when you could just have people gather around a table and see you. Okay, it's kind of centered. Oh, goodness. Okay, so for mine, I pre-mixed some colors just because I knew I'd be a little short on time. So I'm going to start with my fun purple inside. So I got a few purples in here. Now I have raspberry beret in my head, and I am enjoying it. So raspberry beret, out of the way. I love gouache so much because I've always loved tempera paint over acrylic because I like that it wasn't as shiny. And also that it's a little bit more flexible. Downside, of course, is that if you sneeze on it, then it messes up whatever you just did because it's not the most durable or resistant. Let's see, should I move that? Oh, I think. Okay. And while it's wet, let's see, I'm looking back at my code. I'm going to add some shoes in here. I love the shine on that purple. I'm just going to add in a little bit darker purple. Of course, the angle for me to shoot this well means that my angle for painting it is pretty terrible. But I know that you, as art teachers, you all will forgive me for not being perfect. Okay, so I'm just adding this a little variation, just a little bit of fun. Let that start to dry, and I'm going to work on, I think I'm going to start with like a middle green, and then go in and add a little bit of light in the dark, and then let that dry a little bit and draw my little patterns on top. And I'm just having fun with this because I picked an article of clothing that is very fun to me. So if your article of clothing is more, let's say it's more about like the loss of a loved one, something that's more of a serious topic, then maybe the way you would draw yours would be different. Oh, and I forgot to mention that when you draw yours out, it could be laid flat like mine here, but it also could be a lot more dynamic. So yours, for example, it could be, you know, walking as though it would had a person, you know, who was wearing it, who's invisible, or maybe it's flying, or maybe it is playful, like it is laid out like it's in a catalog. So you can think about yours. Let's see. Wow, now that I'm drawing the green and the purple, it's looking rather Joker-like. But so I'm gonna tone it. Actually, I'm gonna go with this other green. Yeah, I think I like this green better. You know what? I'm just gonna mix that up. I'm gonna be careful here while I have the purple, because the purple is still wet. So actually, I like this green's better. Sorry, other green. But also, I like when it's sort of wet and brushstrokey. And let's see, looking back at my item. Let's see, actually, I'm gonna I'm just doing this sort of wet and sloppy because it's fun. Yeah, so I'm actually just sort of going through all my different greens. I'm not trying to actually make it like photorealistic. I'm sort of just capturing the spirit of it by filling in each like panel of the jacket with whatever green is on my brush. So also I like with this medium in particular, I think wet blending is a lot more fun than doing like a dry blending. So wow, this is wet. I'm gonna get some of those darker green in here. Oh, fun. And also like with gouache, you can water it down and use it like watercolors. Let's use this green. I'm just using all the greens. And it's really bright now that I'm looking at it. I always forget that with paint like gouache or acrylic, that it always sort of like it'll definitely dry darker than when you paint it on. But sometimes I forget that it looks darker than I think it'll be. I'm gonna draw this part a little darker inside here. I'll go back in and draw the label later. Yeah, so right now I'm just sort of blocking everything out. I'm thinking about all the adventures I've had in this coat. This coat has been to, God, where's it been? It's been to Turkey. It's been to Ireland and Scotland. It's been to, I went to Eastern Europe, the trip that my camera was stolen. I don't have a single photo, so it's been to Prague, Krakow, and Budapest. It's had a lot of adventures. I just think that if clothes could tell stories, oh, what they would tell. Oh, well, I think that's where I meant to go. Sometimes it's hard to tell what past tense me was doing. Let's see, okay, it's gonna go there. Yeah, the style of painting I'm doing right now is very much Myra Coleman on my mind. Because she was, and I guess I was thinking about her because she was one of the first people I got into when I was trying to figure out where my work fit in as an artist, because I wasn't considered like a fine artist, and I wasn't quite a like a traditional illustrator. I wasn't really like a cartoonist, and I didn't seem to fit in anywhere. But she was sort of in, I don't know, she was doing like this illustrated column for the New York Times. I thought, wait, you can do an illustrated column? They're like, well, just Myra Coleman does it. No one else does it because she can do whatever she wants because she's Myra Coleman. So I thought I wanted to get in that position where I can just do what I want. Okay, so I got it sort of blocked out. Now I'm gonna go in and lighten up some areas. I feel like this is so green. I'm just adding a little white into the green I already have here to make a little bit more of a light pea soup. Nice. Look back at my coat. Let's see, and I'm noticing it's like lighter along the edges where it's worn. So I'm gonna add some little worn spots and along where else? Oh yeah, it's like worn on all the hems and the sleeves. Maybe even I'll make it a little tattered because it is starting to get tattered there. And let's see, I got my, it's hard to draw. And of course you're gonna pay attention to, I feel like you also pay attention to how your article of clothing is constructed by drawing this portrait. Noticing all the seams. I'm gonna add, let's see. I'm gonna add some darker shadows. You can't see it, but I'm looking back and forth at the coat. So maybe bring out this thing here. Then I got this little there. Push things forward and push things back. Well, like I said, it could be as 3D or as flat as you want. Yeah, for the ones in the book, I use marker. But for this, it's like, I'm going to use paint because that's more the mode I'm in. So I think details are really fun when doing this sort of illustration. You know, getting in, especially with patterns. And I'm going to get here to the patterns in a sec. Oops, I keep hitting my camera. Okay, what else? Ooh, the buttons. Let me rotate my little canvas. I got these cute little square buttons. It's missing a couple, but no one would know it but me. Wait, what did I just say about things being darker? Okay. Now let's see, where are my little square buttons? Little square button. Ooh. Here's one. Oh, so cute. And this side. And let's see, I can see the buttons on this side, but not the other side. Okay, so we got some buttons on there. Oops. Oh. And let's see, anything on the bottom there? Okay, I think now I'm ready to add some little patterns. And I don't know if I want to draw every single little line on there because that would be rather time consuming. So I'm going to do a simplified sort of version. So I'm going to go back to my greens. And I think I'm just going to stick with this light one. Actually, I'm going to start with sort of my base one in some spots. Because if I'm using that, then I know that even if I draw something and it's not great, at least it will blend in. It's like when you start to sketch something out and you use like a really faint color. Actually, I just wanted to fix that. That made it worse. Oh, whatever. Okay. And I think I'm just going to imply it. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it up as I go. Okay, looking back at my coat. Let's see. I should have looked at what this pattern looks like. Okay, it's kind of swirling, got some flowers. So let's see. I'll just okay, it's like got swirlies. It's got lots of little lines and little dots. Okay, okay. Mm-hmm. It's looking okay. Ah, see, this is like the fun part. I'm going to try not to go over all the lines I did before and just sort of go in the empty areas to imply the pattern. Yeah, so if you picked an article of clothing with like fun texture, have fun. Even just like stripes is fun. And see, that looks really faint, so I'm going to go in and make some of it a little lighter. I don't know if my camera is clear enough so you can see all this little detail that I'm doing. But I hope that whatever you guys are drawing, you're having fun with it. Now, which is one reason I chose to do this activity with you guys, because I didn't want to pick something that was too technically focused when, let's face it, our brains are melting. Life is problem solving now. It's not just limited to the art classroom. Let's just add some swirls. You know, and also I could just fill this in with like, here, I'll just do a little area of just like, this is more like squiggle. Squiggle, squiggle. So squiggle's okay. I mean, it looks better if I do it a little more thoughtfully. Got some little flowery textures. This coat is so old that I once saw a character on Gilmore Girls wearing it. So it was a new item of clothing when Gilmore Girls was on. So that's like 2002 or something. So if that puts this in perspective. If you're curious, it was Sookie St. James. Let's see. Fun fact. See, now I'm not even like drawing paisleys. Now I'm just drawing patterns because it's fun. Okay. I'm approaching, and the next thing I'm going to do is to add text. And I feel like I've already told a lot of stories about this coat, so now I got to figure out what do I want to say in this illustration. So I feel like there's a lot of potential stories. I almost feel like I should just say thank you. But maybe drawing it is thanks enough. Because whenever you choose to draw anything, you're sort of saying that it's special and you want to give tribute to it. Okay, this area is lighter, so maybe I'll do a darker pattern. Is that a little darker? Yeah, that looks good. Sure. Oh, it's so time consuming. Blah, 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 blah. Now I'm just filling it. Okay. Oh, I forgot the lapel. Yeah, if you want to be real creative, you could even incorporate your text into your drawing, which makes me think of the Phantom Thread and sewing messages in there. Actually, the Phantom Thread, it's a really good soundtrack if you need something to work to in the studio. It's muy elegant. And let's see, I got a tag. It's black, but I'm going to draw it using this because I didn't pull out black. So that's going to be for the tag. Darken. Actually, I'm going to put a little. Actually, I'm going to take some of this brown and put it in here just to make that. Yeah, I'm taking a little of this brown and just adding a tiny kick of shadow. a kick. Because also, since I use this brown and those buttons, I just wanted to bring it full circle. Then those buttons, one final detail is I'm going to draw some little teeny dots. They each got like 2 dots. Tink, 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 tink. Yeah, I've definitely gotten carried away doing comics of doing all the little tiny details. And I'm just gonna like, that's the label. And voila, there's my coat. There's my magical coat. So now I need to add some text to it. So okay, brain, you should have thought of this ahead of time. The coat, shoot, I cannot write on the spot like this. Okay, I'll try it. My dear traveling companion. I'll just call it my dearest traveling companion. I could do it at the bottom. I feel like that's so expected though. So actually, I think I'm going to write it on the coat. Just because why not? And it feels kind of reckless. But also, I think this area is kind of boring. So I'm going to put it there. I'm going to use this purple. So it's actually going to be kind of subtle. I'm going to use a darker purple. Oops. This is awkward. My dear. Okay. I got to turn this. My dear beloved traveling companion. Because this coat has been quite a traveling companion. I've used it as a blanket. It's been through a lot of life changes with me. Traveling. I feel like if I wanted this to be more legible, I would have used a pen. Whatever. I guess the job done. So it's very subtle. And actually, it looks sort of like the text is just part of the coat. But yeah, I'll take it. Because really, there's no wrong way to do this. Okay, so demo time is over. Let me reorient. Hello again. Get this. Get over here. Okay, so I want to close by talking a little bit about if you want to do a lesson with this inspiration, some different directions you could go in. I was actually going to do a variation of this with my friend who's the art teacher at Blue Ridge Juvenile Detention here in Charlottesville, where we were going to use their uniforms as sort of the basis because they don't have fun clothes to explore or express their identity. And so using like the framework of their uniform as a container. So either drawing just the uniform and like drawing sort of the world that's inside of it, or it'd be like a portrait where they're a silhouette, but basically using it as an opportunity for like having almost like a double negative. So that's something I was really bummed that we couldn't do because of obvious reasons. But another variation, of course, is paper dolls as a way to express, using clothing to sort of express different parts of your personality, or multiple hats. I've done that as drawing inspiration before. Drawing the different hats to represent the different things that we do. And of course, you can also, I like to sometimes talk about how even deciding what to wear in your closet is a good opportunity to pay attention to how you intuitively make decisions. Because we all know that in art, you're just making decisions. I mean, no one tells you that back in the day, but Yeah, it's just critical thinking and problem solving. But sometimes you don't know like how to make decisions with work. So even just paying attention to when you go to your closet, like how do you decide what to wear, is a good opportunity. Just notice that process in a really everyday, low pressure sort of way. And last thing I wanted to share with clothing, with fashion inspiration, is I'm going to share a link for a podcast called Articles of Interest, which is just so much fun. I recommend the one about blue jeans if you want to explore something that touches on race, or the pockets one if you're interested on touching on like gender equality. So, but yeah, they're all really short and they're really fun. So one of those could be the potential also springboard to exploring this topic with your students. So I'm going to pull up those links right. I'm going to pull up that link right now and share it in the window. Dun, 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 if I can figure that out. Aha. So there's that one. And I'm just going to share these. Well, I'll share those at the end. Well, no, I'll share them now. Okay, I'm just going to share links all at once. So I got I actually clicked on the end live video. Oh my gosh, this thing is giving me a heart attack. Okay, so I just shared my blog, which is where I post new stuff each week, like virtual workshops. And I just posted a link to my Sketchbook Dares in case you are interested in learning more about that or buying a copy from a website. And lastly, I have the learning section on my website. I'm going to add a whole bunch of new stuff to it this fall because I already have like different handouts and things on there and like videos of me teaching different lessons. But I'm going to be adding a lot more stuff this spring because now that everybody is doing virtual, I want to take a bunch of stuff that I already have and just put it on there. So I can also just send links to people. So it's like, hey, you like my new mini comic, then you can just print off a copy. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so I'm going to look through here and see if there's any questions. So if you have any questions, please chime in. And da-dum-da-dum. Oh, thanks, Lee Darter, for the positive encouragement and for inviting me to take part in this workshop today. A few signs. Oh, yeah, the signs are great. Mary Lynn, I have a whole stockpile of them. And I feel like for each, because my book tour, I had to turn into a virtual book tour. And so for each event, I kept making new things. So now I have like a big stockpile because really, if you're teaching virtually, just think of it like a puppet show. So it's an easy way to make things more sort of engaging, dynamic. Oh, the prom clothes they never got to wear. Oh, I can't call you Vicky. I'm like, Mrs. Burns. Yes, that'll be, I think that clothes also are a good way for kids to open up because it's like music. They all are passionate about clothes. And so it's a sneaky way to get them to open up about something about themselves that's personal. And it's like, it's like sideways. And I don't see any other questions. Oh, wait, but I have more signs. Of course, I have my thank you sign with glitter. And of course, in case you're curious what my YouTube is, this is my YouTube. I could also put a link. And then my website. My Artner one has yarn on it. Anything with like yarn, or if you get like those like party streamers and you just sort of like cut a bunch of strips of them and then tape it on the back of something, then you have like then you can like wave it around. I've played a lot because also doing these videos by myself in my room, it sort of feels like that you don't realize that you're talking to people. So you just can get, you can feel a little bit silly. But I think it's good because especially if you're more of an introvert like me, and actually public speaking this way it doesn't bring up some of the physical. I mean, I still get really sweaty, which I always do. But it definitely I don't know, it's not the same, but I'm trying to find the positive in it because I miss getting to vibe off of kids and like get their ideas and sort of weave them all together. But this way I can do theoretically things like screen share easier and bring things in and make it like a little, I even have a couple puppets that I use because also, yeah, I grew up with a lot of puppets. I love Jim Henson. Okay, so there. Oh, and you're very welcome. Thank you for having me as the artist of the month. Yeah, maybe this will also inspire you guys with just the virtual teaching of, you know, ways that you can have fun switching up, even just using props. Like I got this little mind jar on my desk, and I can't tell if you can even see this, but it's like my little glittery mind jar. I don't know. There's all, when you're using a format like this, yeah, it's like a puppet show, really. So you can make something really dynamic. And I encourage you to use like sound effects. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, I would like to thank you all for partnering with me. And of course, your partners are your partners in art. Oh yeah, this is our partner tenants because we got a whole thing. It's really about helping support each other to connect, to be flexible, successful, whimsical, and to heal. So thank you all for partnering with me. And I partner dare you to share whatever you painted with me today or drew, and share your clothings, I can talk, but to share your drawings and your articles of clothing and your stories and put them in the Facebook chat group. And yeah, and also reach out to me if you know, my email's on my website. So if you're curious about anything or interested in having me come do a virtual visit for your classroom, then awesome, I'm here. And yeah, I guess we're about done. Let me just check. Oh, I thank you, Mary Lynn. And yeah, it's pretty wild that Vicki Burns is on here. Because yeah, I graduated in 1997 and she helped me I got a 5 on my AP art exam. Ooh la la. And yeah, now I'm a teaching artist and a graphic novelist and making a graphic novel virtual musical. I feel like all the things that I do as a job are all things that didn't exist when I was in high school. And it's part of what inspires me to just have an open mind about what the future is and who I am, because nothing is set in stone and things change fast. And the creative people, we have access to the visions, we have access to the future. And that's frustrating for us a lot because we're ahead, or we're thinking about something that the muggles aren't really thinking about. And you think, oh, there must be something wrong with me. But yeah, it's so I love getting to teach and to share this process with everybody, because I don't know, I would have gone insane without it. And if you know anybody who is dealing with their mental health right now, I definitely would also, I would just re-mention The Dark Matter of Mona Star, because I even have a copy of my self-care plan in the back, and a blank one, encouraging readers to create their own self-care plan, to just even make a list of the things that they know help them feel better, because this is a really stressful time, and creatives were often much more susceptible to to our matter and to that negative side, because we're opening ourselves up so much. So, but the world needs us. So I would encourage you to pass that on. So excellent. I guess that is all for this evening. I wish you all a wonderful weekend, and thank you for tuning in. And it's been a pleasure to be here with you all. And good luck with the beginning of your school years and all that. Like, you have all my heart is with you all through this like bonkers time. But yeah, don't think about that. Just go back to thinking about the weekend. Oh, I went to Osborne Park High School. And actually, fun fact, before I hop off, I drew as the high school in Mona Star. Her high school is, where's the scene where she goes? Enters in. Her high school is, it's Stonewall Jackson, but Stonewall Jackson was the sister school of Osborne Park because they were built by the same architect who also did penitentiaries, because isn't that ironic? So it was fun to draw like my school, it's sort of a hybrid of the two schools. But yeah, talk about using real life as inspiration. But okay, now I'm going to go. So thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you stay inspired, be well, and be weird. Okay, end.